Imagine this for a second. You're leading a life that has everyone believing you're incredible. You're well-liked, gorgeous, and have a lot of money around you. This is your life in the moment. This is a sneak peek into the life you're experiencing at this moment. But beneath all that shine, there are hidden truths just waiting to be revealed once they've been buried. Right now, the only thing left to do is figure out these riddles. So, check it out. Alexis Sharky was this up-and-coming star, and her heartbreaking story really hit home for a lot of people. Here's the deal with what went down. Hey there. Just wanted to drop a friendly hello. We're super pumped to have you become a part of the Crimes Uncovered community. Your involvement really matters to us. Today, we're exploring the bizarre and eerie tale that Alexis Sharky has to tell us. She was 26 years old and living in her hometown of Houston, Texas. She was last spotted in Houston. She really made a significant mark on various social media platforms. During her time in Houston, she definitely felt a sense of safety and security. In that moment, she felt like her entire life had just been a fantasy. She had a relationship that looked perfect, a career that was really gaining momentum, and a ton of followers to top it all off. She had everything she could possibly dream of. She had the ability to get all of these items whenever she felt like it. She brought all of these things with her. But, there was a problem that got buried under all those hashtags and filters people were using back then. This challenge was certainly an issue. So, in 2020, the day right after Thanksgiving is actually the first day of November, which is simply the day that comes after Thanksgiving. Just a day after Alexis disappeared. Her body was discovered on a relatively calm road. Back then, the journey was pretty chill and easy to navigate. They discovered Alexis completely unclothed when this information surfaced. When this information came to light, Alexis was already reported missing. At first glance, it seems like the body is completely unharmed. On the other hand, we still haven't received any replies. Everyone was confused, wondering what actually happened to Alexis Sharky after the shocking news that emerged. The information we gathered led us to this conclusion. We're not just going to reveal the surprising details of this heartbreaking case. We're also going to explore the unexpected turns, the doubts, and the other individuals who could be connected. As we dive into this investigation, I truly hope you'll stay with me. Thanks a ton for your help with this. So, from what we discovered, it looks like a crime actually took place. So, there was this City of Houston worker driving down Red Hall Lane at the beginning of the day, just following his regular routine like he does every other day of the week. Regardless of the day, this was the reality. This indicates that he followed his routine consistently throughout the day without any deviations. The next thing that grabbed their attention was a motionless body concealed in the bushes around them. It looks like the figure was the only thing that truly caught their eye. Those who were familiar with her referred to her as Alexis. There wasn't any clear proof that she had died when it happened, and it seemed like she wasn't wearing anything at that moment. From what we can tell, there isn't any concrete evidence that she really ran away. They didn't file a report about her disappearance. This was obviously not just a coincidence. The setup of the scene and the attention to detail really highlighted that. This occurred because the scene was managed with great care and meticulous attention to detail. The individual who placed her there did so to avoid drawing attention. And for the moment, they had successfully kept it under wraps without being detected as soon as the news about Alexis's passing hit. It spread like wildfire once it was shared with everyone for the first time. When the news came out, his family, along with his close friends and acquaintances, were totally stunned. Tom Sharky, her husband, told the authorities that she had left their house during an incident and hadn't returned by the time they arrived. This information was taken into consideration by the authorities. He pointed out in his statement that she hadn't been seen since she left, and he acknowledged that reality. He said that he had made that statement. At first glance, it seemed like he was struggling, but upon closer inspection, it became clear that he was actually quite composed. During this time, one of Alexis's closest friends shared a story that was way more unsettling than the one she had told her friends before. This story came to light during this time period. I was talking to one of my close friends, and she shared something really serious with me. She's actually afraid for her life. She filled me in on this and shared her insights. She said she was super freaked out about what was going on. If anything were to happen to her, she was adamant that it wouldn't be considered an accident, regardless of the situation. She said that she wouldn't consider it an accident. Everything was beginning to fall apart and head in different directions when things began to pull away from one another. Let me take a second to tell you about Detective Emily Perez, so we can kick things off. She's the kind of person who pays attention to every detail during investigations. Once she jumped into the inquiry, it became obvious that this investigation was going to be far from simple. She was completely shocked by this realization. As soon as she realized this specific truth, she acknowledged, all right, to start things off, where is she thinking of traveling? And what's her game plan for making that happen? Currently, I'm having a conversation with Tom Sharky. I'm having this conversation right now. For 2 years, Tom and Alexis were really close. Over the course of this time period, a total of 2 years passed. His look gave off the vibe that he was a partner dealing with some tough stuff in their relationship. I immediately picked up on that vibe. It totally showed in the way he acted. He told the investigator that Alexis had left the room without her shoes and then just vanished without a trace. This information was provided immediately following the confrontation. He had to ensure the investigator was aware of this material. However, when Perez requested more information, his reply was completely nonsensical. He just didn't have things organized at all. At this moment, I'm totally concentrated on the reality of the situation we're facing. We have to figure out a way to solve this question. Can you explain why Alexis might choose to go on a trip without her shoes or her phone? Thanks so much for your help. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for taking the time to consider this. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate your help. It means so much to me. Thanks a ton in advance. Why didn't Tom speak up immediately when he discovered she was missing? Regarding that question, the answer we should provide is the one-track Nias to be communicatio. When it comes to the nature of their connection, Alexis's friends had a totally different take compared to what Alexis shared. Alexis's friends saw things in a completely different light. In contrast, Alexis showed a completely different perspective. There were numerous conflicts and a feeling of dominance. And to be real, it had more than enough of each. That's why people called it poisonous. They said it had plenty of both of those things. The scene was described as pretty chaotic, which definitely adds another layer of interest. All right, so check this out. One of Alexis's friends brought up that she had some text message conversations where she said, I feel so restricted. What choices do I have to work with here? I really don't know what my next move. Stone Row as Investigator Perez made her discovery. She realized that she was also uncovering something else at that very moment. With everything going on, folks were still curious if Tom was actually going to join the celebration. We definitely had to break down this situation. It could totally be that this was just some random act of violence. This is something to think about. Right after this moment, everything starts to decline. And it's not only unexpected, but also quite disheartening. The police did a preliminary check on Alexis's last known movements before kicking off their investigation. The police department started this investigation. They had to finish this work before they could begin their investigation. The security cameras in her neighborhood captured footage that revealed no evidence of her leaving the house that night. So, that's the takeaway we can get from the footage. The lack of any proof indicating she had departed from the residence actually reinforced this point. Everyone was totally anticipating this as a potential warning of issues to come. Immediately following that tragedy, the autopsy results were released to the public for everyone to examine and reflect on. What are your thoughts on the events that occurred before the person's passing? Smothering refers to the act of suffocating someone else. They placed Alexis's body by the roadside, creating the illusion that she had simply been abandoned there by chance. Alexis was discovered dead, and her body was abandoned by the roadside. Further questioning revealed that Alexis had been killed, which brought this situation to the forefront. The idea was to create the impression that she just happened to be there, as if it were all a coincidence. Hey, can you hold on for a moment? I have even more to tell you. While checking things out, they discovered that Alexis was preparing to break up with Tom. This was one of the points that popped up during the investigation. The investigation results revealed that this was what had occurred. Her friends mentioned that she was considering filing for divorce. and she felt anxious about how he would respond when she finally talked to him about it. She was considering ending her marriage. She was seriously thinking about the idea of getting a divorce. Considering what Tom was dealing with, it was understandable for him to ignore everything that came his way. As he talked, he expressed his deep feelings for Alexis and assured her that he would never do anything to hurt her. He said he would never intentionally hurt her. He talked about how thrilled he is and how committed he feels to Alexis. The way he carried himself really suggested that he viewed the situation with a healthy dose of skepticism. He totally shut down all contact with the authorities and didn't help at all with the ongoing investigation. This was done to avoid adding anything to the investigation. At this moment, you could be thinking, it has to be Tom, right? There's a solid chance that's what's going through your head. You're definitely considering this, aren't you? Even though it seems like the situation is straightforward, it's actually more complicated than it appears. The authorities looked into several other possible indicators that could have been around while they were conducting the investigation. There were a bunch of ideas tossed around, and one of them was that maybe Alexis got targeted by someone linked to her influencer circle. This could have been someone who was Rias or her success, on Mavo Quaza and who was Usiani Akanoi Mitor. Some reason, several claims were made, including the statement that this was the specific situation. These leads, though, didn't hold up for long before they became so worn out that they stopped functioning correctly. So, in the end, every single path totally connected back to Tom. It's pretty cool how that turns out. Over a few months, people's frustration just kept escalating, hitting levels way beyond what they'd experienced before. Everyone was excited about the thought that Alexis should have the opportunity to pursue justice and finally receive what she rightfully deserved. Many individuals have been discussing this theory on different social media sites. Despite this situation, the authorities were still unprepared to initiate the process of detaining the suspect prior to the incident being reported. Detective Perez carefully reviewed Tom's statements multiple times, thoroughly examining them to make sure she caught every crucial detail. It seemed like she was searching for something she might have missed. She was searching for it. She had been mulling over the situation for some time when it suddenly struck her that Tom had mentioned in one of his interviews that Alexis's body was neatly placed. Before they kicked off their investigation, the police had kept that detail under wraps from everyone else. She realized that Tom had brought this up. This is the situation we're dealing with. When Perez finally realized that she had, at long last, found the person who would eventually become her significant other, she was overwhelmed with happiness. On the night Alexis went missing, she observed Tom's behavior as events played out. She did this to find out what went down with Tom. She behaved like this because she was trying to understand what had occurred. After she was last seen alive, he was found near the location where her body was discovered. This finding occurred only a few hours after she was last spotted alive. It seemed like he was really near the spot where the body was found, especially since the details on his phone Macatector was the case. After checking out the evidence shown to Tom, he didn't really have much to say about it. He bailed instead of holding his position and sticking to his beliefs. He took his own life before the authorities could apprehend him, despite their efforts to locate him in Florida and their active pursuit at the time of his death. He was a person who ended his own life. He was a person who decided to take his own life, even though he mentioned in his farewell message that he wasn't the one ultimately responsible for Alexis's passing. It was clear that he wasn't to blame for her death. He didn't cause her passing. The investigation was completed, even though Tom was no longer present. The struggle that Alexis's family was facing was definitely concerning. On the other hand, while her friends and family were able to reach some kind of resolution after uncovering the truth, they still experienced a considerable level of uncertainty regarding the situation. When was it actually necessary to make that choice? And when did it start to matter for it to do so? It looked like there was a chance someone could have stepped in to help her out when she was really struggling. This might have gone down. What went down in Alexis's life really shows the dangers that can arise in romantic relationships when someone chooses to overlook the warning signs that appear in certain situations. These risks can seriously be a problem. This really shows the main problems behind those flawless pictures we usually come across on social media. We frequently look at these pictures. Considering the situation that Alexis Sharky was in, what are some ways we can form opinions about it? Just a little reminder to trust your gut and speak up if something feels wrong. This is just a friendly reminder. At first, it is responsible for carrying out this function as part of its duties. It's crucial to recognize that each of these traits is significant in its own right. You can't always tell what your friends and family are going through when they're not around. So it's smart to reach out and see how they're holding up. The people you care about and the people you know are going through something. Honestly, you'll never completely grasp what they're going through. The story of Alexis Sharky captured the imagination and sympathy of people worldwide. Social media became a hub for theories, tributes, and even conspiracies. Friends of Alexis continued to share fond memories of her vibrant personality, her love for life, and her aspirations that were tragically cut short. The influencer community mourned the loss of one of their own, turning her passing into a somber reminder of the darker realities that sometimes lie beneath glossy picture-perfect lives online. Alexis's story highlights the stark contrast between her glamorous social media presence and the hidden struggles she faced in her personal life. Her friends' revelations about the toxicity in her relationship brought to light the importance of looking beyond the surface, especially in the age of curated digital identities. Her text messages and confessions to friends underscored the difficulty many face when trying to leave unhealthy relationships. Her fear of potential consequences serves as a sobering reminder of the risks that some individuals face when seeking freedom. Despite modern forensic techniques and public outrage, certain aspects of this case remain unresolved. The timeline of events and the peculiarities surrounding Alexis's final hours illustrate the challenges law enforcement faces when piecing together evidence in such complex cases. The case's high-profile nature amplified every detail, making it a topic of constant discussion. This brought both awareness and undue speculation, highlighting the delicate balance between raising awareness and respecting the privacy of those involved. If Tom wasn't responsible, as his final note suggested, then who was? What led to Alexis's tragic death? And why? Could more have been done to protect Alexis from the dangers she had confided to her friends about? With Tom's death, the investigation reached an abrupt dead end, leaving Alexis's loved ones without the closure they desperately sought. Alexis Sharky's story is both heartbreaking and haunting. It sheds light on the duality of modern night, how someone's outward appearance can conceal profound inner turmoil. As we reflect on this release serve, as Eremito, Extinxminus, and Undersonon Co knows around us that okay beyond the surface, and to support those in need. Thank you for joining us as we unraveled this tragic yet eye-opening case. If you or someone you know is in an unsafe relationship or experiencing struggles, don't hesitate to reach out for help. Stay safe, take care of yourselves, and we'll see you next time on Crimes Uncovered.